Hi and welcome to RCKicks. On today's show we have this monster. Yeah, look at the size of this. It's a 1/8 scale Land Rover Defender 110, I think it is, long cab version. Now I am a massive fan of Land Rovers and I've had my eye on this for quite a while. Now, Banggood reached out and said to me, oh, would I like to review one? So, of course, I said, yeah, I'd love a Land Rover Defender, especially as I'm building another Land Rover 90 on the show really soon. So I said, can you please get it to me quickly? Because I think it would be quite a good way to match something like this up against the Tamiya CC-02 and CC-01, its predecessor. So to pick up something like this in the UK right now, you're looking at £160 to £175, depending on what deal's going on Banggood, and it does vary a lot. Now for that, you get the car, you get a battery, and you get a transmitter receiver, and everything you need, as well as a slow charger to get you going. Yes, it's quite basic, but you've got everything you need to drive this car. Taking the Land Rover CC-01 for instance, this kit retails for about £183.99, give or take. You might get it a bit cheaper, you might get a little bit more expensive. So you think, okay, well there's only £10 in it, but that's a ready to run versus just a kit. Now a kit doesn't come with all the things you need to make it go. You need bearings, you need electronic speed controller. Sometimes you get them in the box, but whether you do or not depends on the actual product you're buying from Tamiya. You need to have a battery, you need to have a charger, and bearings and paint. Now if you add all those up for this car on an average, you're looking at about £275. So the kit is 183, but once you add up all those extra things, and that's not high end, that's quite basic things, you're looking at £275. So really you're looking at nearly £90 different, give or take. So should you spend the extra £90 and go this way, or should you save the money and go this way, or should you go this way and then spend the extra and upgrade this? Now, will that make it even better? And that's what the whole point of the next coming videos is all about. Is it a viable option, or should you steer clear? Now, obviously, this is just one product from RC product from Banggood, and there's many different ones at all different quality levels because they come from different manufacturers. But this one is the one that I really liked myself and I would have bought myself, because I'm a big Land Rover Defender fan and I think it looks beautiful, just like this does, as well as my G Wagon CC-02. So that's the plan in this video. Right, I'm going to clear away this clutter so we can have a better look at this car and have a good look at its hard body and see all the features and functions that come with it. So the first thing I wanted to talk about was the packaging that you receive your product in. Now you might say, well, what's the relevance? But it's all part of the experience when you purchase something. When it arrives, how it's presented to you also has a impact on how you feel about its quality. Now, as you can see from the Tamiya box versus the Banggood Land Rover, they're vastly different. Now Tamiya has obviously spent money having a fully color printed box on all sides with beautiful artwork, also giving you more information about upgrades, and the overall product looks very high quality. The Banggood itself comes in a very basic box with a single color print. It's a standard brown box and has suffered a little bit around the edges, whereas when you purchase the Tamiyas and Kyoshos, they usually come in another brown box that looks a bit more like this to protect the actual box itself. So that's one of the very first things you'll notice if you purchase something from Banggood. The difference in the box level is, as you can see, vastly different. Is this a good thing or a bad thing? You've got to remember that you're purchasing something from China, which is obviously built to a price point, whereas there's more margins on the Tamiya kits because they're a lot more expensive. So it's where they spend their money. Now, if they were to give you the same level of box, obviously the cost would then go up as well. So you've got to look at it from a realistic point of view. Now, usually when you're picking up stuff from Banggood as well, the boxes tend to look a little bit tatty. So if you're purchasing from Banggood for the first time and it arrives, be this a servo or a full-blown kit, don't panic too much. It's very different to what we normally receive in the UK, but as long as the product inside is in good condition and there's no damage to it, it doesn't really matter, from my personal experience. So that's the first thing you're going to notice differently between going from a Tamiya kit to, say, a Banggood. So let's take a closer look at this massive, great big 4x4. Now this is a 1/8 scale, but personally I think it's a bit bigger than that. Now, if you take the 1/10 for instance and you put it in front, this is the Tamiya CC-02, you can really see it is a lot bigger. So it does feel like it's larger than a 1/8. Now the only other 1/8 that I have is I have this 1/8 buggy. So again, if we put them up against each other, it does seem very big. What drew me to this car the most was its body. It's absolutely stunning, and I think they did a really good job of giving you a very detailed body. It has a bonnet with magnets. That's where you put your battery, because the body is actually attached to the chassis and you'd have to unscrew it. So that's where the on-off switch is, which is really nice. I really like that, and that's very different to any car that I have. You have doors that open and close. You have a full interior with a steering wheel that moves. Even the back door opens. You get an extra wheel, which is a full-blown wheel, and you can actually open this door as well. So when it comes to the body, I think they did an amazing job. There's two colours of this. You can get the green and you can also get the orange. I'm kind of mixed. I like the orange, but I'm a bit partial to the green as well. So it's got full LED lights in the front and the rear, which is obviously something you'd have to pay extra for if you was going to add it to this kit. Well, some kits come with it, some don't. So, but you would probably have to add that to one of these cars. The wheels and tyres. Tyres you would think would be pretty rubbish. Actually, they're very good, nice and soft. So I was impressed with that too, because I thought that might be something where the quality would drop down, but they've actually taken some time to put some decent tyres in it. Now that's something I definitely have to say, Tamiya, naughty, naughty. The kit tyres that come with both these cars are terrible. Absolutely shocking, and I've had to replace them, so you have to add that on top as well. So this tyre feels about the same as this tyre. So from that point of view, you've got to add even more money. So that I think they did a good job on. So what we're going to do next, I'm going to take the body off and we'll have a good look at the chassis and see what you get for your money. So 16 screws later and the body is off the chassis. One thing I really liked is that you can take the body off without removing the tyres, because that's just more work. One thing I would definitely do though is upgrade the quality of these screws, especially for the body. Now when I was taking one off, I almost rounded it off straight away. And what you don't want to do is round off one of those screws, because then you can't take the body off. If you can't take the body off, you can't get to internals. And I'm not quite sure how you'd end up drilling it out, which is a whole faff you don't want to be getting into. So if you're buying one of these, definitely swap out the body screws for some old Tamiya ones that you've got lying around, which are just a little bit better quality metal. What you presented with when you first take the lid off, pretty simple really. Electronics is all in one package. That's an electronic speed controller and the receiver packaged together. You have to disconnect the front and rear lights, which I quite like because that was nice and easy, so give them credit for that. So all the lighting stays on here. Body is excellent. Really happy with the body. Anyway, I digress. So there's not a lot in here really. This is a 2-speed transmission, so you've got a tiny little servo which drives your which gear selection you pick. Now these can tend to burn out after a while on many cars, so that's something I'll be interested to see how well this holds up. The electronic speed controller on this one, when I took the cover off, wasn't actually sitting flat like this, it was up in the air. It actually detached itself from the chassis. So that was a case of just sticking it back down again. So maybe when it was hot or it's been stored in a warehouse, the cables were pulled on it and just popped it off. So that isn't really a negative as such. One thing that is a negative that I'm not overly sold on is this single receiver and electronic speed controller in one. Now it's not waterproof. Now not having a waterproof electronics in a vehicle like this is asking for trouble, because once you take it on the trails you want to be through the mud and you want to be, and yeah, this isn't going to last very long. Now personally I will be ripping this out in a future video and putting a Hobbywing Crawler electronic speed controller in this vehicle. Now you might go, well, what's the point of buying a ready to run when you're just going to rip out those bits that you've paid for? Now that has a valid point, but don't forget that the price point on this is only £174 anyway, and the kit alone for the 90 is coming in £9 dearer. So you're going to need to buy the electronic speed controller for this anyway. So I don't see that as a real problem. And for me personally, I see this as a foundations of a crawler. I will build on this, but I'm starting from quite a good price point anyway. Now, if Banggood were to sell this without a motor and without electronics, would I buy that over this? Yes, I would go that way myself. But I still think that the actual foundations of this as an RC are still worth entertaining, especially when you get this body. It's got metal dampers and shocks, which I think is really good. They're adjustable, and when you get it, you have to put oil in them. I've put too thin oil in them, so I've still got a bit of bounce that I need to work out. So I'll go a little bit heavier. That was my own personal choice because I still want it to be able to articulate well over some rough terrain, but I still think I went too thin on that front. Bearing wise, it does come with mostly bearings. It's bearings in each corner, but there is bushes on the drive shafts at the tops and the bottoms, and also in the diffs there's 2 bushes on both sides that I've seen. But I will be upgrading it to full bearings if possible. I have a whole selection of bearings, and hopefully I've got some that fit, so later on we will swap them out. Wheels, I do like the wheels. I'm a big fan of this look. Also, it's a 2-piece where you bolt the wheel together, and that holds the tyres on really well. That I like to see in a crawler. Tyres are lovely and soft, like I said previously, which is a big plus for this over the Tamiya models. One thing I'm not too keen on is they put this cover on to make it look more scale, which I think is a good thing, but I'm not sold on the way this fits. It kind of just screws on to the end, and it doesn't really sit well, and it's just a bit of a plastic, and after a while they will wear and just fall off if you have to take them on and off too much, and they don't really sit fit. But I understand what they're going for from a look point of view, and as you step back a little bit, they do look fine.
Hello.
The motor, for instance, now I don't know, we're going to push this rig hard, so we'll find out how it performs. But obviously you can upgrade this at a later date if you wanted to, or put more crawler motor in it. There's quite a lot of space, but if you wanted to, you could easily modify this to make more space. So the actual area that you can go with your motor is quite open to put pretty much what you like. Now, I have seen some modifications where you can take the center diff gearbox, spin it around and have it at the front. And that's a simple bolt-on option. You don't have to hack anything with the chassis. One thing you have to do is you have to modify the body a little bit, so I won't be doing that. I'm not too fussed. That would give you more placement for a bigger battery and stuff like that, but I'm not too bothered personally. Maybe we'll mod it, maybe we'll mod it that much. We'll see how it performs. What else can I tell you? One thing I've noticed is that the actual travel on the front is limited by the servo horn hitting the crossbar. Now, it actually sticks down quite low, so it may be possible to raise the servo up a little bit or change the horn to give you more articulation at the front. From that side, front bumper is one big lump of plastic, so if you wanted to put a winch on the front, that wouldn't be possible. You'd have to take this off and modify it, or cut it off and fit a winch. It would be possible if you relocate the battery somewhere else to put a proper winch in here as well, but you would probably have to do a reasonable amount of modifications. So there you go, that's our first look at the Land Rover Defender by Banggood. I'll put a link below, you can go check out, there's loads more specifications on the truck over on their website. And on the next video we're going to be building the Tamiya Defender 90, and then once we've got them all up and built, we're going to take them all on the trail and we're going to push them hard. And then we're going to see just how well this performs. So stay tuned, and if you haven't already, hit the like and subscribe button so you don't miss out on finding out just how good this rig is. Thanks very much. See you next time. Bye bye. Check out one of these videos for some more RC fun.